Rick, listen, we often get a lot of email correspondence during the show, Rick, which I don't sort of pass on to you, because, I mean, you're busy, you're planning the show and stuff, you've got a lot of ideas, you've got music and stuff to worry about. So I check the emails, and we get a lot of response, a lot of people obviously, you know, want to give us feedback. Just a sample one, from Richard Anderson. He's just emailed us in here, Rick, because he's been listening to the show. He says, Ricky, your show is appalling. Are you actually aware you're on the radio, or has someone just secretly stuck a microphone on you? That's from Richard Anderson. So that's typical of the kind of feedback, Rick, we're getting today. So,
is that good, is it?
So that's the kind of, high positive praise that we're getting. So,
I'm glad Anderson's listening, because I wanted him. I was gunning for him as a fan. I was worried that early on in our career, so I think he's hooked now, though.
But thanks, Anders, for getting in touch. Dick Anderson's been back in touch.
Excellent.
I think so. He's obviously
we've turned him round. Well, he loves it now.
He's been tuning in. He says,
loves it now.
He says, Ricky, thanks for a really forgettable 2 hours of radio. I think I'll spend the time next week counting my feet. That's from Richard Anderson. So we've turned him round.
Do you know where the phrase "counting my feet" comes from? Well, in the olden days, right, and I'm talking ages ago, when you really loved something, you used to, as a sign of respect, like, say, a radio show, you'd count your feet. And that's where that comes from, Carl.
I'll tell you, our number one fan has emailed again, I'm pleased to announce.
Who?
Richard Anderson, Dicky Anderson, he was in touch last week.
Is back.
Anders
he loves this show.
He's such a fan of the show, and this week he's emailed in, what actually is the point of your show? Is it to confuse, irritate, depress, or what? All of those things, Dicky. Thanks for, noticing.
Oh, he loves this show.
He's such a fan. He's such a fan.
He's
Because last week, you remember, Carl, he emailed in to say that he'd rather spend his time counting his feet than listen to this show. Presumably he's done that. Yeah. And he's decided to email in.
Wonder how many feet.
Incredible. Yeah.
No, but he loves this show.
He's a good, so, thanks, R.A. Thanks for listening.
See you later. What are you looking at?
Well, I'm just looking at some of the emails, and if I can find it, I got an absolute treat from you.
Go on.
Dicky Anderson.
Is he,
Anders, he's emailed in
Richard Anderson, our biggest fan.
Biggest fan. He said, Dear Ricky, sorry for not tuning in recently, only I've been busy watching a puddle evaporate. Glad to hear you haven't tinkered with the show's winning formula by trying to introduce any quality into it. That's from, Richard Anderson. So, good to have Dicky Anderson listening again.
Oh,
because he just keeps us on our toes, you know.
Yeah.
And, good work, Rich. Thanks for that.
I wonder what he looks like.
Dicky Anderson?
Yeah.
I bet he's a good-looking guy. For some reason, I've always imagined him as being slightly older, with maybe a beard.
Oh, no,
Do you know what I mean?
I think of him sort of cords and now and sweater.
Definitely cords.
I think he looks like, maybe the Proclaimers.
Yeah, but again, with a beard or at least a moustache.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm seeing some kind of facial hair.
And he's sort of like, he's sort of, he likes the Cure and the Swiss Nut, but, he snarls at everything. He thinks everything's puerile.
Yeah.
I bet he prefers Radio 5.
Do you think Radio 5?
Yeah. 5,
yeah.
And 4.
I bet he's a real music snob as well. I bet there's certain bands, it's like rubbish. The Blazing Squad, rubbish. All pop music, rubbish. Britney Spears, rubbish.
Is this defamation of character?
He slagged you off enough times, Rick, and the show. I don't know.
And I'm only saying it's my opinion, I imagine, so,
yeah, I mean, we don't know, I mean, you know, he could be a lovely guy.
to be honest, I'm getting to like him.
What I like about Richard is he's willing to say what he thinks.
Well, it's more than that.
He's a bit like Eminem.
No, it's more than that. He actually hits on the truth too often for my liking.
Yeah, well, that's...
I mean, this is a shoddy show with very, very little to offer. Is Anders listening? Well,
I'll tell you,
Dicky Anderson.
I've got an email from Richard Anderson, Dicky Anderson.
Go on.
The Dick Machine, which...
the big dick,
which, now this is interesting. I think we're wearing him down. Ricky, I think your show might be improving.
Go on.
That sense of despair and loneliness I normally feel when listening to your show doesn't seem so bad today.
He's desensitized to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or he's given up.
Him down.
Or he's just given up. Yeah. I mean, you listen to this long enough and your standards will drop.
But yeah, Dicky Anderson, he's a guy, I'll be honest with you, he's not a big fan of the show. But well, we're getting to winning round. He says, Dear Ricky, the more disappointing your show becomes, the more I seem to look forward to it. Now I see your face plastered across London. Is your show some sort of curse put on me by an old gypsy woman I've annoyed? You know, good point, Dicky, but,
Dickers.
But Randers, as I call him.
Yeah. He can't listen now, I know what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's tucked him in, he's backing into the fire as we speak, and he wants to roast them till they spit. Oh dear. Oh. Thanks for listening, Anders.
Thanks for Anders. And Merry Christmas to you and Happy New Year.
And as you know, you got a lot to look forward to, because our first hour is always the best. So you're gonna be loving it till 3, cockers. Oh dear.
Last message from Anders, I suspect, for the day. He says, I've just roasted my chestnuts over an open fire. It's a lot more enjoyable than listening to your show.
He's
pretty snappy, is Anders.
Yeah,
you know, he keeps them coming, you know. It's a shame that, you know, that we sort of couldn't sort of maybe meet up with him and try and persuade him that, you know, he should come over to our side rather than, you know...
Come over to the side.
Exactly.
Yeah, come over to this side.
I think we've got him though, because
Do you think so?
Yeah, apparently they did this survey in America. People who loved Howard Stern listened to an average of like an hour and a half a week, and people who hated him listened 2.5 hours a week.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think he's probably more faithful a listener
yes.
than some of the people that quite like us.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got to listen, I'm the same with some people, I've got to listen to things that I just think are awful, I can't. You know, it's compulsive viewing. So, you know, I don't care if people listen to us because they hate us or like us.
No, indeed, as long as Hey, I should just point out, because it's Christmas time, we've had an email from Dicky Anderson.
Oh, Dickers!
Yeah, RA is, well, he's, I suppose he's a long-time listener.
Yeah.
And he emails us most weeks. Ricky. If, as I suspect, I'm your only listener, I wouldn't bother with your show today, as I've got to attend some family Christmas nonsense at Auntie Marion's house. That's from Dicky Anderson, and he's good because considering he hates the show and everything we stand for, he does take the time to email every week.
That counts. That counts to advertisers.
Yeah,
I think we've got a lot like him.
Oasis, Supersonic. Still good,
Still as good as ever.
Still good. On XFM 104.9. Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant, Karl Pilkington.
You'll be pleased, Rick.
Go on.
Ricky Anderson has emailed in.
Dickers!
Dickers, danderson.
Oh,
Yeah,
what are you doing, Dindo?
He's probably our biggest fan.
Diddler, you little diddler!
Exactly. He has emailed in, as ever. Ricky, your show fascinates me. How do you maintain such levels of senseless drivel? That's from Randers, from Randy Anders, as I call
Little diddle doggers!
Oh! So, thanks again,
Dudley.
for that, yep.
Well done. He's, yeah, that's great. I get a buzz. I was disappointed last week where he didn't. Ask him why he's didn't.
He didn't respond last week. No, it's a shame.
Probably busy. I don't believe he had something better to do.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so.
I can't believe that of anyone.
No.
When you've got this sort of level.
Exactly.
Intense chat.
You mentioned earlier when we had our regular email from Dicky Anderson.
Yeah.
Randers, as I call him.
Dandy son.
Yeah. You mentioned it because we didn't get anything from him last week. We didn't get anything from him last week. Anyway, he's obviously listening. Rich, because he's emailed in to explain his absence. Dear Ricky, sorry for not tuning in last week. Only I was in HMV returning the 14 copies of The Office I got for Christmas. That's from Randers. So, he's explained himself.
Oh,
he's
dear.
excused himself.
Oh, Anders, we should get him on one day.
Yeah. Can I just say before we play a record that we've had an email from Dicky Anderson.
Dickers!
Richard Anderson.
Oh, Dickster, you dicky docky dido, how are ya?
If you're a new listener, then you won't have come across Richard before, but
he loves the show.
He's our biggest fan.
He's a bit of a, and he loves the show. He tapes it and listens back to it 4 or 5 times.
But the great thing about him is he's not afraid to offer a bit of constructive criticism.
Oh, well, yeah. Go on, what's he said?
Well, all I'm going to say to you is he said, is it true that companies are now getting rid of hold music and are instead using your show to irritate their customers while they're waiting on the phone? I don't know. We'll look into that, Dicky, but thanks for that. Before we carry on with anything, I should just tell you, we're on the subject of emails. There's one emailer we're always looking forward to hearing from.
Dickers!
Richard
you, Dicky Docky Doo!
Richard Anderson, thanks for emailing.
He's my biggest fan.
He's
now.
one of the biggest
he
fans.
Absolutely loves me.
But not afraid to offer some constructive criticism.
Go on,
that's the great thing about Dicky. And from Anders this week he says, Ricky, I'm lazy, I talk nonsense, I'm badly organised, and I believe in ghosts. Can I have a job working on your show? Possibly, Anders. Maybe send in a CV. Or email a CV.
He's put a little bit of all of us in that, hasn't he? Oh, I'll ask him if he's a goggle-eyed freak, Steve.
Alright, calm down.
Well, no, I didn't mean
there's no need to get insulted.
No, I didn't necessarily mean you, did I?
No need to get nasty. This is ludicrous, yeah. So, obviously, Richard Anderson, he's emailed in his thoughts. Dicky Anders, Randy Anders.
You. Dickmeister General.
And he says there's something making... Have we got it clear? He says, there's something making strange yelping noises in the thicket at the end of my garden. Shall I go and prod it to see if it's Karl? Let me just tell you what Dick has said. He said, Richard Anderson, he also said, P.S. the show's still rubbish without Karl.
Still rubbish without Karl. Now, is that a compliment? It's still rubbish without Karl. Which suggests he thought it might be better without Karl?
No, I think he means it's equally rubbish.
Right. Yeah. Brilliant.
Nothing changes.
Thanks, Dickers.
Yeah, he's
Dickmeister.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't think our #1 fan, Dickie Anderson, Richard Anders, was on the panel. Although he here has emailed in. He's got a couple of thoughts as to maybe why we.
What is Dickers doing, man?
Dickers says commiserations on not winning a Sony. I can't believe you didn't win. Naturally. I mean, apart from your show's obvious lack of quality and effort, having a monkey for a producer, offering the biggest load of tat as competition prizes, saying hairy Chinese kid 48 times every show, rockbusters, not bothering to turn up for weeks on end, only having 3 listeners, introducing the comedy characters Camp David, Harry Fook, which I think he spelt wrong there, Stephen Merchant. I'm not a character. Apart from insulting every race, religion and sexual orientation, bickering like schoolgirls,
we haven't done everyone yet. We have not insulted everyone yet. There's loads to go.
Despite the fact you generally bring misery into the lives of anyone who listens, I thought you were surefire winners. Better luck next year.
Well,
I mean, a couple of constructive, criticisms there, but generally, I still can't nail it.
Was he on the panel?
Well, I don't think so. Well, he's a fan, so.
Yeah. Well, no, he's clearly a fan. I mean, he obviously loves the show. He has hit the nail on the head.